This program is brought to you by the Neely School of Business at TCU, Community Trust Bank, Medical City, and Bid Select. Welcome to Platforms, the life-lifting news program for women. Now, here's your host, Shivaun Palmer.
Welcome back, everybody, to Platforms. I'm here with Dr. Isobel Coleman. She's the author of the remarkable book, Paradise Beneath Their Feet, How Women Are Transforming the Middle East. Dr. Coleman, when we went to break, we were talking about a phenomenon going on that young people are embracing a much more conservative bent on Islam, and a lot of it's to retain their culture and their identity, yet their parents grew up in a little bit less conservative mode. So that dynamic must be very interesting just within families in the Middle East.
Indeed it is. I mean, there are lots of mothers who express dismay to me that their daughters are wearing the headscarf. You know, their grandmothers wore the headscarf, and then the mothers took the headscarf off, and now the granddaughters are putting it back on, and you know, parents are struggling with all of this.
Very interesting. What was your take? I'm just curious as to the French government wanting to legislate for women of Muslim faith in that country not to be able to wear their native garb, their headscarf.
Okay, well, let's be clear. Okay. What they're legislating against is wearing the niqab, which covers your face, completely covers your face. Not wearing the headscarf. And when you talk about it as native garb, you know, where's it native? It's really it's a personal. Well, no, it's very much in the Gulf countries.
Okay.
And it's not. I mean, it has not been traditional garb, you know, across the Muslim world by any means.
Layman American.
And in fact, it is contested within the Islamic world over women wearing this. Grand Sheikh Al-Tantawi, who's the head of Al-Azhar in Cairo, one of the great seats of Islamic learning, has come out and said that it is anti-Islamic and women should not wear. I'm not talking about the headscarf, I'm talking about the face covering now. And that's what they're legislating against in France, because they say, and I'm sympathetic to this argument, that if a woman is covering her face, it's you know, she cannot interact in society. If you can't see a person's face, first of all, you don't know who you're dealing with.
Right.
We live in, you know, dangerous times today, and it's not only a security threat, but it's a barrier to assimilating.
Humans connecting, absolutely.
To humans connecting.
Isobel, let's talk about your book here. You've met some remarkable women in your travels throughout the Middle East. Why don't you share with the audience some of the experiences you've had and some of these remarkable women that are trying to better their lives over there?
Well, let me start by saying that one of the hardest things was choosing who to write about, because there were so many, and I picked out women who, in my mind, represented some of the best that's going on in these places, but they're not isolated cases. There are many, many more women I could have written about who are doing courageous and valiant attempts at reforming their societies from within. The ones I chose are doing all sorts of different things, be it in the educational sphere or in the healthcare or politically, legally, all sorts of different initiatives. I mean, one is a young woman a young Afghan woman who started an NGO, a non-governmental organization, a nonprofit group that is trying to look at what are the religious justifications in Islam for many of these repressive practices. And so she works with a Sharia college, an Islamic law college in Herat in Western Afghanistan. And she brings together scholars, and they look at specific passages, and they write about them, and some of them issue quite progressive interpretations. Then she makes a photocopy, and she sends it out to mosques all over the rural countryside, and she gets this remarkable feedback. Some of them are incensed and outraged, and others are curious and intrigued, and she brings them together for dialogue. And you see at a very grassroots level this dialogue happening, and some of it is contentious, and she removes herself.
She's very pragmatic.
Here it is, but she sits in the background. She lets the scholars duke it out, and she has people coming up to her afterwards saying, you know, this is really interesting. I didn't know this, and I want to learn more. And I think one thing that's important to remember is in a country like Afghanistan, many of the mullahs are illiterate.
They're illiterate.
Yeah. They've never read the Quran. You know, so they've memorized.
Isn't that fascinating?
They've memorized and understanding of the Quran. They've memorized something, but
it's so remarkable that this woman is getting this dialogue going.
Well, and she's doing it because she knows that a lot of the restrictions on women in her society are religiously based. Absolutely. And yet are not, they don't withstand some of the scrutiny that she's putting it up to.
Very, very interesting. How can you explain now in the States the term honor killings? You know, we've seen horrific footage of young women being killed, for, you know, being raped and then killed. Is that,
well, if you want to talk oxymoron, there's no honor in killing a young girl.
Thank you.
But they are, you know, this is the term that's used for girls are the receptacle of honor in the family. And if there's some transgression that somebody in the family has committed, maybe not even the girl, the punishment could be killing the girl, or if the girl herself has crossed some, some line of, cultural mores, and her punishment can be death. And this is a practice that is really tribally based. It's but it does have, unfortunately, some religious justification. You know, people will say all the time, there is nothing in the Quran that supports honor killings, and yet there are, I think, groups that perpetuate honor killings and do, use Islamic justification for this, and they also use it, like in a country like Pakistan. There's a loophole for not punishing honor crimes, not punishing honor killings that is Islamically based or has been in that country. So in Islam, a victim's family can grant leniency to the perpetrator. And it's a notion in Islam of justice. But if the victim is the daughter of the family and the murderer is the son, then the parents can then say, well, we forgive the perpetrator, who's their own son, for committing this honor. And that was enshrined for many years in law.
Wow. Isobel, we've got about 30 seconds. When we come back to wrap up, I just want to talk about, just strictly from an economic standpoint, how if these countries would empower women, so to speak, and give them opportunity, how, not from a spiritual side, but just from pure economics, how it'll...
That's really how I came to write about this issue in the beginning, because, I really focus more on economics and development issues.
That's your background, exactly.
And you can't help but notice this is a part of the world that has failed, in some cases miserably, to invest in half their population.
Exactly.
And so now you see, as women are pushing, and men are very much a part of this, pushing for change, that it can really drive, as women achieve higher educational levels and more economic opportunities, it becomes a virtuous cycle that drives more change in a positive way, as opposed to the very negative cycle that I think of poverty and disillusionment that many of these countries have been on.
We're going to go to break, and when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we'll conclude our conversation with Dr. Isobel Coleman, author of Paradise Beneath Her Feet, How Women Are Transforming the Middle East. This is Shivaun Palmer with Platforms, a life-lifting news program for women. We'll be back in a moment.
The Rosewood Crescent Hotel is a landmark in the exciting uptown neighborhood of downtown Dallas. The hotel's soaring limestone and marble lobby greets guests. Chic, contemporary guest rooms include 1- or 2-story suites. The hotel features the award-winning spa at the Crescent, fitness center, outdoor swimming pool, and shops and galleries. For fine dining, try Nobu, Bose, and the Crescent Club, a private dining club with spectacular views of the city skyline. Enjoy a relaxing breakfast or lunch in the conservatory, a beautiful glass room overlooking the courtyard gardens at the hotel. Sophisticated and relaxed, soothing and exciting. The Rosewood Crescent Hotel is as culturally vibrant as the neighborhood in which it sits, consistently ranked as one of the best hotels in the United States. The Rosewood Crescent Hotel offers discreet and professional service with Texas charm. For more information, go to www.crescentcourt.com.